Hi. Now, most people think that the most important tools to overcome emotional eating are the ones that help you say no to food in the moment, when you're inside a triggered moment and your brain is automatically taking you to the food. In the moment tools can be immensely useful, and I certainly teach such in the moment tools to my students in my Freedom from Emotional Eating program. However, there's another set of equally important tools that you use outside those triggered moments. These tools allow you to work with your system in a powerful way, such that the triggered moments don't come in the first place. Can you imagine the kind of freedom that exists when you simply don't feel triggered to eat? Not feeling triggered means there's no need to rely on willpower to control yourself. You just don't want extra food. Now, no one lives a life completely free of triggers, and that's okay. We don't need to. In fact, our triggers can point us to our true needs so we can get them met. But having many less triggers is awesome. And in this video, I'm going to share a 6-minute yoga practice with you and explain how practices like this one can help you have fewer trigger moments and therefore fewer emotional eating experiences. Who doesn't want that? My name is Lori Montry. I'm a trauma-informed eating psychology coach, which means I help you understand why you know what you want to be doing, but you just can't seem to stick with it. I use the latest science in behavior change, thought redirection, nervous system regulation, somatic practices, all through a trauma-informed lens. And this revolutionary approach has been the missing piece for thousands to overcome emotional eating. So thank you for spending time with me here in this video. If you haven't already, subscribe to this channel for two reasons. One, it'll make sure you have access to more content to come. And number two, it will help me reach more people who need emotional eating support. So please subscribe to the channel. The world in which I practice and which I'm privileged to serve is incredibly vast, and it is ever changing. Because I help people overcome trauma and emotional eating challenges, there are many fields of practice that come into play. My work delves deep into thought redirection, neural programming, behavior change, emotions, the nervous system, somatic work, trauma healing, and more. And these areas are constantly growing. We learn more about humanity in these areas all the time. So I consider myself a lifelong learner so that I can always be reaching for a better version of me as a practitioner and sharing more and better information that helps you reach your goals faster. One of the ways I do that is by finding the best quality certified programs that are taught by leaders in their fields. And I challenge myself and have actually created my business model to include time for me to be ever learning and growing as a practitioner. My latest certificate is in Applied Polyvagal Theory and Therapeutic Yoga for Trauma Recovery. Whew, that's a mouthful. And so I'm excited to have that new skill, that developed skill, and to bring you this 6-minute practice that I've created to support you in overcoming emotional eating. As I said in the beginning of this video, it is awesome to have tools that help you navigate a triggered moment so that you don't end up turning to food, but it's even better not to get triggered in the first place. Teaching people how to live with fewer triggers is a significant part of the work that I do with people in my Freedom from Emotional Eating course. Now this topic, it's a big one, and we certainly don't have time to properly dive into it fully in this short video, but let me say that triggers are often the result of an activated nervous system. When you're triggered to eat when you aren't hungry, there's a great chance that you are in survival. Your system is in survival, which means your lower or survival brain is in charge. And survival brain is the emotional eater, not you. Its only concern is keeping you alive and comfortable in the next 2 minutes. It's not concerned with how you're going to feel about your food choices in an hour. It just wants you to get out of discomfort as fast and easily as it can. It knows food can help, and so it puts you on autopilot, takes you straight to the pantry for chips or the freezer for ice cream. Now contrast this to when you're feeling calm and resourced. In those moments, you have access to your higher self, your higher brain. Your higher brain can help you meet your needs in a way that feels better than ice cream and chips. So the question really becomes, how do I stay out of survival brain and connected to my higher brain? As I mentioned, this topic is big So I encourage you to watch some of my other earlier videos on this subject to gain a deeper understanding. And you can also download my free guide, Eat, Heal, Love, a nervous system approach to food and body freedom. There's a link to that guide in the video description below. But for the sake of our discussion today, know that somatic practices that bring a sense of connection and safety to your body help your nervous system stay regulated, which means help you stay out of survival. So I created this short yoga sequence for you as a way for you to just try on a somatic practice that's aimed at safety and connection. As I was creating it, I wanted it to be super short because when you're new to somatic practices, they can feel overwhelming. They can feel very uncomfortable at first. There can be resistance to the time needed to do the practice, as well as to the stillness that's inherent in the practice. For systems that spend a lot of time in survival, it can be really challenging to begin an in-depth practice for the nervous system. Maybe you've experienced this. Many people tell me things like, oh, I've tried meditation, I've tried yoga, and it just doesn't work for me. And I get it. I struggled for so many years to develop the practices that ultimately helped me to heal my disordered relationship with food. But now I understand why. And teaching you how to ease into and build practices is just as important as teaching you what those practices are. I also made this practice one that almost anyone can do. It's a seated practice that is not physically demanding in the least. Its main goal is not to have you go through a particular set of movements, not for the sake of the movements themselves, but for the sake of offering them to the body and then receiving feedback from the body. Yoga classes are wonderful. I love to go. And there are many forms of yoga, many goals such as stillness, fitness, community. But this practice was created for a different purpose. Its purpose is for you to open a meeting room where you and your system can communicate with each other. This practice offers a beautiful back and forth between nervous system and movement. By engaging in practices like this one, you can find out what feels safe, supportive, freeing, resourceful to the body. This practice may feel great to you the first time. It may feel a little activating. It may leave you feeling nothing at all. And all of these responses are totally fine and totally normal. But here's my invitation to you. Find 6 minutes a day for the next 2 weeks to do this practice. And at the end of the 2 weeks, check in and ask what you're noticing as a trend, as opposed to evaluating your practice based on any one experience. When working with the system, it's just really important to have patience and leave your expectations at the door. Above all, remember that this is an invitation for you to be present and open with your system. Practices such as these are very experiential as well. So as I'm describing these things to you, it may not fully sink in until you've gone through the practice yourself a number of times. So the invitation is, again, find 6 minutes a day for the next 2 weeks to try this practice and simply see what you notice. I also suggest that after you've run through the practice a few times, come back and listen to this full video again, because certain things will make more sense after you have a little bit of experience under your belt. Now, I intentionally created a separate video with the practice itself, and I've put a link to that below in the notes for this video so that you can just easily skip straight to the practice and don't have to try to find it throughout this video. So with that, click on the link below, and I can't wait to run through this practice with you.